Yo, what's good guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and we have our official, I guess you can call it a way too early prediction video. I'm going to be predicting every NFL team's starting quarterback week 1 of next season. This one should be interesting. Obviously there are a couple of given ones that are obvious, but some teams are unsure. Got teams like the Saints where you don't really know where they will go. Broncos as well. We don't really know where they'll go. Giants maybe as well. Who knows? Jumping right into it, we have I guess before I jump into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Promise it'll be a good one. You can like the video before you watch it. Trust me, I don't make bad content. What else is there to do? Go into the description. Click on the Google Forms link. There is a Google form where you can give me video suggestions, and I promise you, I will do the video you suggest. So, jumping right into it, we have the New Orleans Saints. As much as it hurts me to say, it's going to be Derek Carr. There's just basically no way out of it. Unless Jaden Daniels falls to 14, or they make a crazy signing in free agency like Kirk Cousins, which going from Derek Carr to Kirk Cousins, one 33-year-old quarterback to another, really does not make too much sense. I definitely over-exaggerated on that one. I do not know how old either of those guys are. Carr is 32, and Kirk's probably older than 33 at this point. Kirk is 35. So, what? Split the difference? No, not split the difference. You get it. I don't think we go ahead and sign a 35-year-old quarterback, but Derek Carr, it's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to be. Next up, we have the Dolphins, and despite the playoff disappointment, I guess we could say, it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Probably this is one of the ones where it's a given. I don't really see any other quarterback wearing the Dolphins. I mean, unless Tua gets another concussion and we see something over the off. No. Throw that out the window. It's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Next up, we have the Ravens, giving it to the MVP, Lamar Jackson. It's a given. Next up is the Bengals. Yes, maybe possibly it's a given. But think a little bit deeper. What if Joe Burrow's not 100% during week 1? I mean, 2 big injuries, 1 lingering injury, and then after that, he did have that season-ending injury. So if he's not 100% for week 1, we could see somebody else. But like maybe Jake Browning. I mean, he didn't have a terrible end of the season. But I'm going to assume Burrow is healthy and he will be the starting quarterback for the Bengals week 1 of the 2024 season. The Broncos is definitely one of those teams where it is up into the air. I think it is 100% not Russell Wilson, who is going to be on a new team next year. But yeah, this is interesting. You know what? I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to say that next year's starting quarterback for the Broncos is current Chicago Bears starting quarterback, and it's Justin Fields. Could they end up picking Bo Nix at 12, or Michael Penix at 12, or JJ McCarthy at 12? Possibly. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's what they should do. So, and the other way around, I'm going to give them Justin Fields, starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Once they see that Jaden Daniels is off the board at 8 or at 2 or 3, I think that's when they really decide to make that trade with the Bears, or maybe even before draft night, when they realize that they have no shot at either Jaden Daniels and they don't want to draft Bo Nix so early. Because really, we haven't seen too many rumblings that Bo Nix is going to be connected with the Denver Broncos. Like, we haven't really seen anything. It's really just been speculation that he's going to be a good enough prospect for the Broncos to take at 12. Personally, me, I don't think so, but people do think so. So I'm going to give them Justin Fields at 12, and the team I had trading for Justin Fields in my mock draft, which was the Atlanta Falcons, are going to have to look in a different direction now. Next up, we have the Giants. Jaden Daniels is not going to slip to, in my opinion at least, Jaden Daniels will not be slipping to the 6th overall pick, so I think their starting quarterback will once again be Daniel Jones. Could they draft a quarterback in the 2nd round? Yes. Could it be JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix? Possibly. Even if they do, not 100% sure if he does take Daniel Jones' starting spot. Definitely not JJ McCarthy, but Penix, because he's a little bit older, could possibly do it. but I'm going to have Daniel Jones, so the Giants will have to suffer through another season. Next up, we have the Vikings. This is going to be between 3 players in my opinion. My prediction is that Kirk Cousins will not be the Vikings quarterback in 2024. During training camp, my prediction is that it's going to be between Michael Penix Jr., I think they draft him with their second-round pick, Joshua Dobbs, I think they retain him, and last but not least, Nick Mullins. And I think at the end of the day, Michael Penix Jr. will win that quarterback battle and be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings next season. Next up is the Rams. They could draft a quarterback at 19. Michael Penix Jr. is the most likely prospect if they were to pick a quarterback. But I'm still going to say Matt Stafford is the starting quarterback. I don't really see any other direction. Like I said before, McCarthy, but even if they pick McCarthy, he will 100% not be their starting quarterback next season. Next up is the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is a free agent, but they retain him. Mayfield with an amazing season this year, and honestly, in my opinion, should have won Comeback Player of the Year. It did go to Joe Flacco, who played a couple of weeks, then stuck it up in the playoffs. But, I mean, I guess Baker Mayfield did stick it up in the playoffs, but he won a playoff game. And he played the whole season, had an amazing season as well. So you know what? It should have been Baker Mayfield, and they will retain Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback next season, and everyone will be happy. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, no ifs, ands, or buts. I expect this team to basically run it back. And with their draft pick at, 29? They can go wide receiver, they can go cornerback, bolster up that defense. You know, Dan Campbell is that defensive head coach. Or they can give Jared Goff another weapon. But at the end of the day, it really should be nobody else but Jared Goff. Next up, we have the Bears. I think this is a pretty easy one at this point, especially what I've said about the Broncos and I guess a little bit about the Falcons. I'm going to have this one be Caleb Williams. He's going to be the first overall pick in the mock, not in the mock draft, first overall pick in the draft. And yeah, you don't draft Caleb Williams and keep Justin Fields during the regular season. It just does not make sense for me. He's going to be their starting quarterback. Next for the 49ers, the Super Bowl losing team, it's going to be Brock Purdy. Didn't have an amazing Super Bowl, but he didn't stink it up. He was being a game manager, and he didn't do too bad at it. As much as people don't like to say Brock Purdy's a game manager, or they don't like the saying, I mean, a lot of quarterbacks are game managers, but we can all admit that Brock Purdy can't do what Mahomes can do. He definitely can't do what Lamar Jackson can do. Can't do what Josh Allen can do. Those are not game managers. Brock Purdy is a perfect quarterback for the 49ers, and that's why they've had great success over the 2 seasons he's been at the helm. So he'll be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. And I guess this is kind of out of the blue, but I'm a little bit more happy. School just got closed for me tomorrow. Didn't have school today because we did, after the Super Bowl, we raised enough money or something for a charity that we don't have school on Monday. And now, because it's going to be snowing, no school tomorrow as well. So there's that. But next for the Eagles. Interesting. Just kidding. Jalen Hurts. I kind of was just not thinking about that. It's going to be Jalen Hurts. As much as he is, at least in my quarterback tier list, the same tier as Justin Fields in terms of put weapons around him, at the end of the day, doesn't make any more sense than to have Jalen Hurts as your quarterback for next year. Next up for the Raiders, it's going to be Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, very interesting. If I had, you know what, I might rank these quarterbacks when it's all said and done. You know, I'll probably pause it, then do it off camera so it doesn't look so long. But I'll rank these starting quarterbacks for next year. Yes, like I said though, Aiden O'Connell, not a great quarterback, let's be honest. But unless they do pick a quarterback at where they pick 13 or Jane Daniels falls to 13, which he won't fall past 8 because the Falcons are right there. It makes perfect sense for them to have Aiden O'Connell, even though to the dismay of Devontae Adams. Most likely, who knows? They could be best friends off the field. We really don't know. Next up is Jordan Love, the Packers franchise quarterback. I'm so excited for his season next year. Hopefully, I mean, I love to see young quarterbacks flourish, but hopefully, maybe even an MVP season for Jordan Love. Nothing but respect to Packers fans. yeah, pretty cool to see how you guys were able to just, even though you did come back from the Saints. I think if you guys ended up losing against us in, like, what was that, week 3, week 4, I think we would have both made the playoffs. Not 100% sure. I mean, we would have definitely had our division, and maybe you guys would still be at the 6 or 7 seed. So there's that. But yeah, I have nothing but respect to Packers fans. Think they're cool. I have no problems with them. So yeah, Jordan Love. Hope you have an MVP season next year. Next up for the Commanders, I'm going to have them go Jaden Daniels. Yes, in my last mock draft, I went Jaden Daniels over Drake May, which is the main reason why Jaden Daniels will be the guy for them right now. I think it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May or Caleb Williams because they have been rumblings that they're going to try to trade up for Jaden Williams at 1. Or not Jaden Williams, Caleb Williams at 1. But I don't think the Bears trade that pick. And it's going to be Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders for the 2024 season. Next up is the Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Much as there has been, I mean, okay, at this point, yes, the Cardinals are the 4th team. But imagine if the Cardinals had the 1st overall pick. And they had to decide between drafting generational quarterback Caleb Williams or keeping Kyler Murray. That would have been very interesting, and at some point this season, there was a couple of talks about whether or not they're going to get rid of Kyler Murray, but I think the front office has made it clear that they're just looking to get the best wide receiver since, I mean, who is he the best wide receiver since? He's probably the best wide receiving prospect, I don't know, Calvin Johnson. I mean, crazy to say, but probably true. Better than Jamar Chase. Where did he go? He went like 6, I think. Definitely better than Corey Davis, who went like, 4. Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a beast, and I think he's probably going to have like a 1,300 receiving yard season as a rookie. Pro Bowler as a rookie, mark my words. But Kyler Murray will be the starting quarterback for the Cardinals going into next year. Next up for the Steelers, we're going to have another change. It is not going to be Kenny Pickett. It is not going to be Mitch Trubisky. It will not be Mason Rudolph. I know there have been talks about Ryan Tannehill, but it will not be Ryan Tannehill. But it will be Kirk Cousins. They talked about wanting to sign another veteran quarterback, and I think Kirk Cousins will be that guy. With Kirk Cousins on the Steelers and a new offensive coordinator, who knows? This team has playoff aspirations. Up next, we have the Cowboys. I think this one is pretty easy. I know Dak Prescott gets a lot of hate, but at the end of the day, he is the best option that the Cowboys have, and he will be their starting quarterback next year. Next up is the Seahawks. A lot of people like to assume or at least predict that the Seahawks will draft a quarterback this offseason. And even if they do, let's say they draft J.J. McCarthy in the 2nd round or maybe even at pick 16, I just see no way that he starts right away. It's going to be Geno Smith. Yeah, Smith didn't have a terrible year last year. I mean, 2 years ago was a lot better, but last year wasn't terrible. I expect him to have similar production. And at the end of the day, Seahawks can still be a playoff team. Next is the Bills. Pretty easy. It's going to be Josh Allen. Next is the Chargers. Similar to the Bengals. If Justin Herbert's available week 1, it'll be Justin Herbert. If not, then I have no idea, but I'm going to assume it's going to be Justin Herbert. Next up is the Jets. This is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Again, the Jets might take a quarterback. Who knows? Most likely not. Most likely they'll get weapons for Aaron Rodgers, especially an offensive line. But you have 1 or 2 years left of this old quarterback, and you have to capitalize on the last couple years he has left as being a good quarterback. Because if you don't, then we basically have them going back to ground one, drafting Sam Darnold, a player like that. So they do need to get weapons for Aaron Rodgers, and especially they need him. They need to give him protection. Next up is the Panthers. Should be Bryce Young. I don't see anything else. Should he have started last year? Probably not. I mean, probably should have had a veteran play over him in his first year. Maybe Bryce Young would have taken over like week 9 or week 10. But at this point, you're forced into the situation. It's going to be Bryce Young. You just have to develop him, and hopefully he can be your franchise quarterback. Next up is the Titans. All signs are pointing to Will Levis. Ryan Tannehill has been connected to the Steelers and other teams about joining them as a new team this free agency. So it makes no sense why it would not be Will Levis unless he absolutely bombs training camp and Malik Willis takes his spot. This should be Will Levis. Next up is the Patriots. I have Drake May for the Patriots. He's going to be my 3rd overall pick, Second overall pick, I had the Commanders taking Jaden Daniels. Process of elimination, third overall pick is the Patriots taking Drake May. It only makes sense. He's going to be the Patriots starting quarterback next year. Next up is the Colts. Despite Gardner Minshew's great play, and by the way, there's probably two quarterbacks I'm going to mention at the end that probably could end up having a starting job, but I don't really see any team where it could 100% happen. But yeah, despite Gardner Minshew's great play this season, it's going to be Anthony Richardson. Like I said with Bryce Young, should Anthony Richardson started last year? Probably not. I probably would have given Gardner Minshew the starting quarterback spot for the first 10 weeks or so. Or if the Colts were still playing good by week 10 or maybe even earlier than that, maybe like week 8, then yes, he would have kept it the whole season. But yeah, I mean, if the veteran quarterback is doing good by week 8, week 9, then you keep him. If not, you have Anthony Richardson to put in. You have Bryce Young to put in. So just like the Panthers, the Colts are forced into the situation of having to start Anthony Richardson next year. Next up is the Cleveland Browns. Unfortunately, it's going to be Deshaun Watson. Yeah, Joe Flacco did have a good last couple weeks of the season, but with someone like Deshaun Watson being guaranteed so much money, financially, it makes zero sense for them not to start him. If they don't start Deshaun Watson this season and do start Joe Flacco or next season, that just makes no sense for them. They lose so much money, a lot of money goes to waste, and you really just have that huge contract just rotting on your bench. It makes no sense. They're going to have to capitalize on him. Hopefully Deshaun Watson can get back to that MVP form we saw him with the Texans. Next up is the Chiefs. Obviously Patrick Mahomes. Next up is the Falcons. Yeah, this is going to be Russell Wilson. I had the Denver Broncos having Justin Fields, trading for Justin Fields. I had the Chicago Bears drafting Caleb Williams. And I'm going to have the Denver Broncos releasing Russell Wilson and him signing to the Falcons to be their starting quarterback. The Falcons are definitely good enough to win that division. Honestly, they probably have the best weapons, at least offensively, out of all the teams. They don't really have any wide receivers right now besides Drake May, but if they do sign a couple guys in free agency, you have a core of Russell Wilson, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. That sounds amazing to me. And offensively wise, that's probably the best offense in the NFC South. So they should have a shot at the NFC South championship or division championship, whatever. They have a shot at the first seed in that division next year. But they don't really have a quarterback right now. So go get Russell Wilson and hopefully compete for the playoffs. Next up is the Jaguars. Last two are going to be easy. Jaguars, obviously Trevor Lawrence. Not a great 2023 season. Hopefully he bounces back. Like a lot of people had him as an MVP candidate this season. Me personally, never really had that, but hopefully he can bounce back next season. And last but not least, CJ Stroud. He is an MVP candidate, and it should be exciting to see who really comes out of that AFC South. If it is the Colts with Anthony Richardson, most likely it's probably going to be a two-man race between the Jags and the Texans, the two best teams in that division. But overall, NFC South is going to be in good hands from here on out. Colts with Anthony Richardson, Titans with Will Levis, Jaguars with obviously Trevor Lawrence, and then Texans with CJ Stroud. So that should be a fun division watching for like the next 10 years. But yeah, that's me predicting every NFL team's starting quarterback for the 2024 season. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said before, the two quarterbacks I left out that could end up starting next season are Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew. Minshew, I just had him on the bench. I guess I can add Joe Flacco to that as well. If he signs to another team and gets a starting spot, then so be it. But Bo Nix, I don't really have a spot for him this offseason. So it'll be interesting. If he gets into one of my first round mock drafts, then he'll probably end up starting, but hasn't done it yet. Teams I could see draft Bo Nix. Could see the Vikings. I just had them go Michael Penix instead. I could see the Giants in the second round. Anybody else? Maybe the Raiders in the second round. I kind of doubt it though. Other than that, don't really see it. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, go into the description, and go to the Google Forms link and submit your video ideas because I will basically 100% of the time use them. Thanks for watching this video and see you next time. Peace.